What up, what up, what up? This Ib Web, Karana Sum here. Official thing I got going on here. Essex County All Day Edition here with that documentary bouncing around here, that New York point guards thing here. It's only right. I got one of my point guards here, Elijah Allen. Man, he's nice. I ain't even gonna use the past tense because I'm sure he's still nice with it if need be, if he has to get to it. You know, great person, great individual that took the ball in over the coaching and done extremely well with that. I wouldn't expect anything less of him. But I'm just gonna be quiet on this here. I'm gonna pull him in, and we're just gonna just hear a little bit about his journey, his walk here. So hold tight. Peace, man. How are you?
Oh man, peace, beloved. What's going on with you?
Nah, ain't nothing, man. Thank you for doing this, man. I know good things come to those who wait, and I got you here, man. So I appreciate this, man. Definitely a whole lot that you just squeezing some time out here, man, to chop it up for a sec.
Listen, man, make no mistake about it, man. You're doing a great thing, man. Trust me, it ain't had nothing. You know, I had some killers on this on your program, man. So I'm glad to be a part of it, man. I know it took a while, just running around all over the place, man. But it's a pleasure to be on your podcast, my brother.
Nah, thank you, man. I got another killer in you here, man. So I mean, I've been fortunate, man. So I appreciate it, man. First and foremost, family, everybody good, man. I know it was crazy out here, man, but everybody all right?
Yeah, everybody good, man. I'm sitting in my office at University High School right now, just trying to get prepared for another year.
Mm.
You know,
I was
another
gonna
school
I was
year.
gonna ask you that. I saw the background here, so I kind of figures up in the school.
Yeah. I'm at the office. You know,
Mm.
preparation is key, man. We actually come back next week, but preparation is everything, man.
Nah, definitely. What you had them doing the summer here? Is it the summer leagues or what you
Yeah, I had one of my kids that played for me. Parent was
Mhm.
coaching the summer leagues for us, so they played in the in the Zuku League with
Okay.
of course with Coach OG. You know, that's
Mhm.
a world famous Zuku League,
Yes.
and a lot of my guys was playing AAU and stuff, and just trying to work out. So
Mhm.
my thing is, man, I always been big on development, man. You know, I
Mhm.
try to tell my young ones, you got to work on your game more than you play in games. You know,
Mhm.
that's kind of from what I've, just we all got our opinion, but I just from how I grew up, man, you worked out more than you played in games. Games was the icing on the cake.
Yes.
So I just try to relay that to the to my guys.
Nah, even with that being said, hey man, like North guy from day one, or we you came from somewhere else, but I'm make an assumption. Is
Mhm.
North from day one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Born and raised, man. Born
Mhm.
and raised. Um, I was born and raised in Newark, man. I grew up actually on Astor Street, man. Small block right off of Clinton Ave, man.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. That's the reason why I'm sitting here today,
Yeah.
along with my parents, of course.
No,
You know.
absolutely. You're the only sibling?
No, actually, man, I got two brothers and three sisters, man. So,
Mm-hmm.
they all on my father's side, so I'm
Okay.
the only child on my mom's side, you know.
Okay.
So,
Nah. How was you as a child, man? How was you as a kid, man? For the most part.
I had to, I had my little moments, man. But
Mhm.
my mom's got sick at an early age, so
Mhm.
my mom's wound up moving down south. My wound up moving to Alabama because it was just a better setting for her.
Mhm.
And I never forget the conversation that I had with my mom's about, listen, I'll leave you up here, but the minute I see that you acting up or not doing what you're supposed to do, you coming to Alabama. Because, by that time I had all my friends and
Yeah.
everything like that. So I made that pact with my mom. I mean, she rests in peace now, but I made that pact with my mom that I'm gonna do the right thing. And she let me stay up here with my grandmother, um, which is my father mother.
Mhm.
So, my grandmother Ida, she used to be on me, man. Like she ain't play no games.
Mhm.
So I pretty much kind of was a person that was kind of around the house, like,
Okay.
outside. I wasn't drifting too far off from the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. You had to
Yeah.
play that porch a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. To this day, I call them my bros. when when we all get together, they always talk about, yo, man, you come up the porch and right away and all of this stuff. But hey, man, that was a blessing. When I think back on it, it was a blessing. And then I started developing a love for basketball. Once I got that love, it was over.
Where'd that come into play? I know, surprisingly, when I do talk to folks and they mention football as their first love, some of these basketball players, but just in general, when sports started to take a part of your life here?
And I would probably say around 10 years old, man. Listen,
Okay.
I'll keep it real, man. I was horrible at baseball. I was horrible, at street football or whatever. I ain't even make it to Pop Warner. I realized I was horrible when I first just on the streets. Listen, I had me and my bro to the end to this day. A kid named, ain't a kid anymore, but at that time, my boy Eric Butler. I call him E Buck. Man, if you know me, you know him. That was my right-hand man growing up, and to this day, still is. But he was good at all the sports. So of course, we doing stuff together. You know what I'm saying? He was good at football, baseball. He just had that ability. And when we played, I came to a realization that I ain't that one. I wasn't good in baseball, not baseball or football. Okay. And you know what I started realizing? What's basketball that? Was my calling, and probably from the age of, I think probably around 10 years old, 11 years old, you filling out different things. But by the time I got 12, it was over, man. Strictly basketball. Dribbling the ball outside the house, going to Miller Street School every day, the playground. So I learned quickly what was my calling.
And even with that said, man, did you eventually start playing in little rec leagues or anything around the way?
Yeah, and the crazy part about it is I got introduced to basketball through my fifth grade teacher, a guy named Larry Layton, and his brother.
Mo Layton, yeah.
Right, one of the best players ever, playing North, period. And it's crazy because we was in class, and during that time they used to have what they call the little program leagues for adults. Now we in the fifth grade, so I can remember Mr. Layton, who I still keep in touch with to this day. And I remember Mr. Layton saying, "Listen, I'm gonna give y'all extra credit if y'all watch me on Channel 3 tonight." Right? So I'm like, oh, okay, so I can use that extra credit, man. And he said, "Y'all got to come back and tell me what my stats were." And I think he might have had 30 that game or something crazy, man. Came back, told him the stats. He gave us a few extra points and all of that. But I started just like, damn, I like how he's shooting the ball, and that just intrigued me from there, man. So really starting at 10 years, I might have dabbled with other stuff, but really at 10 is when I really started to get my focus. And it was Mr. Layton that started me off, really.
Yeah, you think about those guys. We wasn't around for them weekday runs. Woo, that you just hear stories and stories about those.
Yeah, the weekday runs was crazy, man. And once I start really loving the game, then of course I played in the famous St. Rocco's League with Coach Paul McPleasant, right? And if you was anybody coming up back in that day, and we going back to the 80s when I was growing up, coming up as a youngster, you had to play in that league, in the St. Rocco's League. That's where all the young, small fry guys coming up, high school guys, everybody, that was the league. So, I remember playing over there. And when I was in the fifth grade, after I left Mr. Layton class, my grandmother wanted to transfer me down the street to a Catholic school called St. Columba.
Okay.
And that's where I really started, playing in the different leagues and playing in the St. Rocco's League and North when they used to have one Lincoln open. So we taking it back, man. We taking it back. So.
Oh yeah, and with the St. Rocco's, you know how that's just guard heavy.
Oh man, any guard you name, like I don't even want to, because I might miss somebody, man. I don't even want to name everybody, but of course you got the D Rocks, Dennis Leonard, the Allen Watson, you had the Dutney, that Antonio Blackman that was playing at Shabazz, Carlo Walton from East Side.
Yeah.
You just had it was so many great players, man. I could go on and on.
Mhm.
about the amount of great players that played, that played in the St. Rocco's League.
Oh yeah, man. And then you said your grandmother moved you over to to the Catholic school here. So even with that, high school and all that other stuff here, I know was Benedict's ultimately where you wanted to go, or you was kind of forced to go there.
Well, coming up, man, Shabazz was right up the street from me.
Yeah, I'm about to
Shabazz High
say,
School.
Lou ain't tap you on your shoulder.
Right, Lou, Lou, I call Lou Black, man, legendary coach, Coach Grimsley, man. But once what happened was, being at Miller Street School in the beginning, everybody for the most part, you know, went to Shabazz.
Mm-hmm.
But once I moved over to, down, which was down the street on Pennsylvania Avenue, right, right down the street from where I was at. Once I moved to, St. Columba, it was a direct pipeline to St. Benedict's Prep.
Okay.
I can't say that when I was at Miller Street, I had heard of St. Benedict's Prep because everybody knows really Shabazz was our high school in our area.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of my friends that at St. Columba that I grew up with from first grade on up, it was probably about 5 of us, 5 or 6 of us that went to St. Benedict's. We still got a small crew that came out of there that graduated, that we started like first grade on up and, knowing each other and wound up going to St. Benedict's. Probably about 4 of us, man. We still get together, about 5 of us really, still get together, to this day.
Nah, that's what's up, man. And I know even before St. Benedict's, or even early on in St. Bill, I'll talk about more of that in a second, but you did the Newark Rams thing too, right?
Oh man. See, I didn't really start doing Newark Rams until I got to high school.
Okay.
Right. But speaking of Newark Rams, Coach B. Crawford, man, listen, I've
been trying to get B on here. I've been trying to get him. I'm working on it.
Listen, man, that's somebody you definitely got to stay on, man, because you have a lot of coaches in your life, which is the reason why I accomplished what I accomplished. And B. Crawford was one of them, man. Like B. Crawford was the type person that just the coach that didn't take no mess, didn't care about your name, your fame. He told you like it was, and that's the reason why a lot of us, really went on and played at the next level, because a lot of times, especially now, a lot of times, we do a little bit more coddling, and that's not to say that these players are great now. We got some great players now. This younger generation, they bigger, they stronger, they athletic. But I think the main thing is being able to take that criticism and able to, take that yelling that comes with the game and comes with basketball. That's the thing that Coach B gave us from the door. Either you accepted it or you didn't play. So definitely appreciate Coach B.
He's actually talking about B and just how important he was, how much of an influence he was in as far as with you and hundreds of others.
Oh man, B, not staying too long, man, but Coach B was just a blessing, period, man. And discipline was first and foremost. It wasn't about, all about skills and all of that, even though, of course that was important. Of course, he, helped us get better skill-wise and the work ethic. But the biggest thing with Coach B, besides his wisdom, that really, impressed upon me is is the discipline. First and foremost, he didn't care how many points you scored, how good you were. You was gonna be disciplined. He was gonna do what he said to do on the court, and if you didn't, you was gonna sit down. And and to be honest, that's exactly how the next level go. So I appreciate Coach B. I remember playing in the Gauchos, right? And I don't know, I was starting to really, you're getting better, you're doing your thing a little bit.
Feeling yourself a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what did I do. I don't know if I made a move. I don't know what happened, but something happened where, Coach B called me over or took me out and said something, and I might have said something back like, nothing disrespectful, of course, but I might have said something like, I could have did this, or damn, we should have, man. He let me have it. I'll never forget that. And that was years ago, 20-some years ago, probably. I'll never forget that. Like, yo, you feeling yourself? I don't care nothing about what you're doing. You're going to listen. You're going to do it this way. That's the reason why I was able, one of the reasons why I was able to play at the next level, because that's exactly how I go on the next level. you got to be able to take that and move on. And my grandmother,
Mm.
may she rest in peace, when she finally did let me play AAU because practice was on Sundays and my grandmother didn't play that missing church, Coach B had to really tell her like he got a great chance to get a scholarship.
Yes, yes.
Beside it, he got a great chance to get a scholarship where everything is paid for. He go to college for free, and that was the only reason my grandmother let me go on Sundays. And you know, but Coach B made sure that even though she let me go on Sundays, that discipline stayed accordingly. So I appreciate Coach B.
Nah, no doubt, man. How crazy it is to enter that building, walk up them steps, and you might not even be practicing. It might have been just the who's who from around the way, from around the state, just being in that gym, man.
Just amazing, man. Like when I think back, I don't think you really understand until you sometimes take a step back now that you've gotten older and they had the both courts going. And, you know, we was a younger group, you know, with ninth, you know, being in ninth grade, ninth and 10th grade. And I just remember even being and seeing the older group, the Wally Dixons, you know, playing on the other side, you know what I'm saying? And just to see guys like that playing and you saying to yourself, like, that's the next level for you, you know, because, you know, they had me by, you know, had us by like a year or so. So, you know, the Wally Dixons, the Tariq Goodmans, the D-Rocks, the Lance Jacksons, you know, all these guys over there, you like, yo, this is what I got to work towards. But even on the younger court, you talking about like Big Tim Williams, I went to North Tech. You know, you talking about Brevin Knight, you know, even though Brad played with East Orange too, but, you know, still, it was times he came down to the YMCA, played in those practices or workouts. So, you know, just seeing that amount of talent, man, it was just amazing when you think back. Man. You had to bring your game.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And that's actually when I first obviously got wind of you here. You know, I know you don't remember at all, man. Like I was on that actually that East Orange team with Brev, Eddie, and all those guys, man. Back when I remember we played y'all for the state champ. I don't know if it was the AAU state championship down at King, I think it was. I want to say it was King College. I want to say it was King College, if memory serves me right.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I definitely that's when like you and Brad going at it, man. So and I remember. I definitely remember, man.
Wow, that's unbelievable, man. You know, Eddie Elam was my guy.
Right.
You know, at St. Benedict's, man. And yeah, I remember those matchups vividly with Brad, man. You had to, you had to get a good night rest, man, if you was going against Brad the next day.
And then I know even high school, once you got over there, was you playing varsity from the door?
Actually, I wasn't. You know, I felt like I should. I felt like I could, but Coach Cordero was another, you know, big influence in my life. Father figure that was the head coach at St. Benedict's. And I remember telling Coach Cordero, like, you know, to this day we still laugh because I still keep in touch with, you know, Coach Cordero all the time, man. And to this day we still laugh about it. But I remember being a ninth grader and talking to Coach Cordero about playing. And he was like, you know, son, you want to play varsity? You're going to have to go to Modell's and get a right hand and come see me next year. I was like, hold up, what? Wait, what happened? But he was absolutely right. You know, hey, listen, you know, you do what you do in elementary, but high school is a whole another level. And this is what I try to tell my young guys. You got to learn how to take criticism as motivation. Yes. You know, I ain't look at it and say, oh, what this guy talking about, or you don't know me, I've been good before I got here. I'm transferring somewhere where they don't let me play. No, I had to work for it because it helps you in the long run, because you're going to go through a lot of situations playing ball where you may have been the man, and then all of a sudden you get to a point where now it's players that's better. Now you're starting back at the bottom. You know, it happens. You know what I'm saying? So I had to go work on my game. But you know what? That was a good thing too, because I wound up playing for I wound up playing JV my first year. Okay. And it was for a coach named Anthony Badger. Coach Badger is one of the best guards one of the best players, period, to ever play at St. Benedict's Prep. And he was another no nonsense guy. So I was really blessed. I wound up playing for him for a year. I mean, he used to make us run countless suicides to the point where, like, listen, if you want to quit, quit. And we talk to this day too. So, you know, that was great. And then I wound up playing varsity my 10th grade year. So I needed all of that, man. All of those experiences is what make you prepared to play at the next level.
Yeah, and then you got going, man. I mean, did the game start becoming easier to you as much you start to learn and develop here, as far as even at those teenage years, as far as sophomore, junior year, what have you?
But you know what? I think sophomore year, I remember us winning the state preps that my sophomore year too. I can remember hitting some some big free throws or whatever the case may be. But more than anything, what really started to go for me is my work ethic intensified. Like I always viewed myself as
Mm-hmm.
not the most talented person. I looked at it like my mindset towards the game of basketball was I'm gonna outwork you. Like if you getting up at 8, I'm gonna get up at 6 in the morning. And I just start constantly putting in the work. It wasn't just about love the game. It was an obsession. And that's what I try to tell my young guys growing up now. You got to go beyond loving the game if you want to be great at this. It got to be it got to become an obsession. So it became an obsession for me, man. I had to beg Father Ed, who's my guy too, Father Ed, the headmaster at St. Benedict's Prep, to let me in on Sundays. I used to dribble my ball up Martin Luther King Boulevard just to go work out at St. Benedict's on Sundays, when nobody was in school. And when he seen my passion, Father Ed normally don't let nobody in on Sundays. That's the day that everybody, the Catholics go to church and all of that. He said, I might as well let this guy. And he keep knocking on the door. He keep coming. So, I really started to get better my sophomore year, but junior year and senior year, that's when I really, really took off, in my opinion.
Right, and you mentioned the whole prep thing too, because again, y'all started playing the prep schedule. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. So y'all was ineligible to play the counties back then, or did y'all?
No, we actually played in the counties. We played in the counties and the states. The only year that we missed, I believe we missed the counties during my year, was my junior year. Some things was going on or whatever the case may be. And then we wound up back playing in the counties again my senior year. Now, states-wise, yeah, and we was also in the states, matter of fact. We never missed the states, but we did miss the counties I think it was my junior year, we missed the counties. Or whatever the case may be. So, I never was quite able to get over the hump to win that county championship. And we especially my sophomore year, we had a pretty good team. We probably won like 20-some games, and we had some great players on that squad, but we just could never quite get over the hump. But we did, during my time there, we did win 2 state titles. And that was a blessing, and sometimes during that time, people kind of slept on the prep a little, the preps a little bit, the state prep title. But I tell people all the time, when we won my sophomore year, when we won the states, we played the same team twice. We played Hun Prep School. I don't know if you ever heard of that, the Hun School.
Yes, not familiar with it.
But what I tell you is when we beat them my sophomore year, and then turned around, all the seniors left. Then when I became a junior, we played them again, and then we lost. And they guards was seniors. Do you know where they guards went? The point guard, a guy named Deion Haynes, went to Rider University, Hall of Fame. One of the best guards I ever played against. And then the other guard, Rashawn Glenn, wound up going to Colgate. Like, so sometimes, we got to do our history. Like, the prep schools have some bad players, and I wound up playing against Deion Haynes later on because he went to Rider, and I was at FDU. Straight blur. So, so hey man, sometimes we gotta do our little homework sometimes on some of them prep schools, man. You had some great players during that time.
Oh nah, definitely, man. And I know accolades and all that stuff rolling in, man. And I know just even being around the way, man, like for some reason I think it was because I'm a year older than you. So I think so I know you cracked the second team twice as far as all county. As far as then get that first team nod. I know the guards is guard heavy. It's guard heavy though. I know.
Let me tell you something. To this day, what? Somebody put something up on Facebook that the 93 all Essex County team. Listen, they was all great players, man. But I ain't gonna lie, the competitive nature would be like, oh, I should have been on first team. But who wouldn't think that? If you're a competitor, you're supposed to think that. And I'm like, man, senior year was one of my best years, man. I'm like, but it is what it is. All love.
Yeah,
All those
nah.
guys are great players, man. So just a blessing to be, on all county period.
And it was back-to-back years too. Your junior year as well too.
Yeah, you know what though? At the end of the day, you gotta win a little something too, I guess. So
Yeah.
it's all good. But like I said, it's just the competitive nature in me, man. I felt like I should have been first team on one of them years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was all great players on first team and second and third team. So that's just the competitive nature in me. That's all.
Nah, definitely, man. And you mentioned, the whole college thing from, Coach B talking to the grandma to obviously working them circuits throughout those times there, man. Like when you realize, like, man, this is a possibility, man. I might be able to grab one of these scholarships, man. Like as far as schools, I mean, someone coming to talk to you, obviously you end up going to FDU. Or is anybody else in the mix?
Well, just speaking of when I felt like I could really play and really get at that, really is a blessing to play on any level in college. But for me, it was, getting recruited on a Division I level. I remember playing in Arizona, and we taking it back now. I remember playing in Arizona. The North Rams. We went to Arizona, and we played in. I like to say it was the BCI tournament, a big time tournament. Great, great players. During those years, great players from everywhere. And I remember when we came back, they had, they used to back in the day, everything is online now, but back in the day, they had the little, I think I still had that too. They had the little pamphlet that said all the players, you know what I'm talking about, right? That had all the players.
Yeah.
Looking down, I see Wally Dixon, because, Wally was killing them back then. I mean, he flying all over the place, dunking on everybody. We had another great guard that was from Linden, my guy. But make a long story short, I'm looking through the panel, I said, they mentioned my name. I'm like, oh, I ain't say I was the man or nothing like that. They just mentioned up and comer. Elijah Allen, point guard at St. Benedict's Prep. I said, oh, okay, maybe I got a shot. Because I'm saying all these great players, they ain't have to mention my name. But that really said, okay, maybe I got a shot. So that just fueled my fire even more to work. And by the time I got to senior year, I wound up having 5 offers. I took 5 legitimate visits back in the day.
You did all 5?
Oh man, you talking about a brother who hadn't been off Astor Street probably since I went
Yeah.
to Puerto Rico and for small fry. That was another thing. When we played small fry, we went to Puerto Rico. So all those things matter. But I went to St. Peter's. Back when Coach Fiore, St. Peter's was big for me because it was close to home. Yeah. I wanted to stay close to home, being with my grandmother, I didn't really want to just take up and leave her, leave my grandmother and go like, hundreds and thousands miles away, and that was for me. Everybody got to, do what's best for them. But, St. Peter's, Manhattan, Northeastern. I took a visit to Northeastern, excuse me. And I like to say the last one probably was Bowling Green.
Okay.
Out in Ohio.
Ohio, yeah.
Yeah, out in Ohio. So, and what's funny, Ed, is that as I look back now compared to, as I look back then, I should say compared to now, it was different. It was like you couldn't even come to the table unless you had scholarship offers. You know what I'm saying? That's how that's how I think sometimes we took it for granted. Because look, we playing against you had Brevin, he got Stanford, Seton Hall. Then you're around the other great players. When I think of like D-Rock, James Madison, Lance, New Mexico State. It was like a given that when you were around certain circles that you was getting a scholarship. Or that you had to work to make sure that you had a scholarship, offer. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's crazy, man. We got a lot of people that be. I don't know. I just don't see that as valued as much as it was back then. You understand what I'm saying? Now, it could be. It could be, but for me, man, it was like I can't even I gotta make sure I put the work in because I ain't even gonna be able to sit at this table unless I got scholarship offers.
Yes. No, I hear you. I hear you. I
You
hear
know,
you. What was
so
it about? What was it about FDU that made you decide to go there?
just enjoyed the I enjoyed the visit. The coaching staff was with Coach Fred Hill, who's really the primary person that recruited me. Coming to the house, my grandmother felt very comfortable. And plus, it was close, it was Division One,
Yes.
and it was close to home. I can get back and forth to my grandmother when need be. And secondly, at the end of the day, you want to go somewhere where you got an opportunity to play.
Mm-hmm.
If you put in the work, you have an opportunity to play. And that's the thing, like I said, I always revert back to saying that these are the same things that I tell my group of guys now, because, it's about paying it forward because somebody did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't get to, Division One basketball on my own. I had to, follow the path. So I try to tell the young guys, it's not about, where you go, it's about what you do. It's about the work you put in, because you could be seen anyway.
Yes.
But for me, FDU was a perfect fit for me.
You get there, though it's the same state, two different worlds. How do you how do you adjust this all around? I mean, we talking culturally, we talking, just growing up, trying to mature, man. Like two different worlds, man.
Man, listen, you go from being like how we was talking about all county and all of this stuff. You go from being this all county player to starting at the bottom.
Yeah.
When you get to college, and sometimes, for a lot of people, that's an eye opener. You have some, freshmen that has that come into a situation where they start as a freshman. But a lot of times, the way the recruiting game go is you starting at the bottom. And most of the time, whatever position you're in, the way they recruit, they may have a junior in your position. So the thing is for you to groom for 2 years. When they leave, you take over. That's normally the natural pecking order, as they say. So my freshman year, man, I remember, coming in, I had the little chip on my shoulder, but I got pushed around a little bit, man. You playing against guards. I mean, the point guard that was in front of me when I first got there was a guy named Antoine Dasher. He was all conference from Jersey City.
I remember that name, yeah.
Remember Antoine Dasher? Now me and his cousin came out together, Andre Dasher. That was my guy, my right-hand man in college. We played all 4 years together. But his cousin Antoine Dasher and another guy named Isaac Morgan that came out of Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Right. I remember jumping ice. So, Antoine was that dude when I came to FDU. He was the point guard, and he was every bit of six. Now he's a ref. It's crazy how time fly. Now I'm yelling at him on the court about refing. So, but during that time, you talking about Antoine being 6'1", 220. I'm coming in 6 feet, 150, 160 maybe. So you already know how it went. But to make a long story short, I just fueled my fire, man. I had a bike on campus. I ain't had no car. I tell my daughter all the time how lucky she is, because when she went to school, I made sure she had a car by her sophomore year. She couldn't have one her freshman year, but her sophomore year, made sure she had a car. I said, your father was riding on a bike, though. I was, listen, I got pushed around so much. Everybody said, nah, we not just going to keep doing this. I used to get my bike early in the morning, ride to the gym, 6 in the morning, lift weights, work out before it was time to go to class. Then we'd go to class, have lunch and all that good stuff. Then we got practice. After practice, go back to the dorm. Everybody, relaxing, chilling out, whatever the case may be, man. I get back on my bike, come back to the gym at 8 at night. Work out with my little weight jacket. I had a little weight jacket back in the day. I used to work out with that from 8 at night to 9 at night. I was just a gym rat, man. I was just a gym rat. So my freshman year, I was playing a couple minutes, whatever. By the time I got a sophomore, I was starting. And me and Antoine was starting in the backcourt together.
Now, even with the whole starting, and obviously that conference is crazy competitive, man. And you guys eventually, you make the tournament, man. By this time I'm up in Connecticut. I mean, so I know I'm jumping around a little bit, man, but I just wanted to take it to just as far as that was. I mean, that one night, man. Just was it just an ocean?
Well, I tell people all the time, man. I scored, 43 43 points by myself 1,000 times, you know, and it's very true when they say luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
You talked about the gym, going to the gym. Yep.
All of that, and not when you on top, but I'm talking about putting in the work when you starting at the bottom, like coming back to, you know, like coming to college and starting at the bottom. You know, you used to, you know, being, you know, one of the men in high school, one of the men in high school, or young men in high school, or, you know, on my team, I wasn't just a man. But my point is, you used to start and getting all these minutes. Now you come as a freshman to college. Now you playing 5 minutes a game. How do you respond to that? And leading up to the game against UConn, but that all that stuff started as you know, you just don't wake up and just say, okay, we in the tournament now, I'm about to do this. No, this stuff started as a freshman, because how I reacted as a freshman when I was getting 5 minutes a game determined what I wanted to finishing up with. And finishing playing in the NCAA tournament, that started with my preparation as a freshman when I was only playing 5 minutes a game. That's what I try to impress to the young, you know, to the young ones. You may not have the opportunity right now, but eventually your opportunity will come. But are you going to be ready? You know, are you going to be ready? So, you know, playing that UConn game, man, was just a accumulation of all the work I had put in, all the late nights. I used to, you know, it was crazy because I used to this day when I go to FDU and some of the, you know, people are still there, you know, the alums that used to cheer us on and all of that stuff. They always say, you know, E, man, you was one of the hardest working players I've ever seen. Because I used to come 9 o'clock at night. The sports director in there writing a column, and I'm throwing little rocks at the window. He looking out, like, yo, who that? I'm like, oh, it's Elijah Allen. He like, oh, come downstairs and open the door and let me in. And to this day, those are stories, I share with them and we talk about all the time. So when I got to that NCAA tournament game against UConn, man, I was just ready, man. I was just ready. And when the first couple shots went in from three, and, I was like, oh man, this might be a good night. This might be a good night, man. And it just, it just started clicking for me.
Yeah. Nah, and I know obviously I don't know what they were ranked. I don't know what seed there. I'm sure it was a 1, 2, or 3 seed too, man. I mean, and just to get at them, I mean, again, when it's all said and done, basketball is a basketball. You're gonna compete, and you don't care who in front of you. I mean, so I totally get all of that, man. Like, even with that being said, as far as after that, when was you thinking, hey, I could continue on and play this at the next level?
Right, but I'm gonna tell you a quick story with the UConn game, right? So so Bobby Knight and them playing before us. We in the MCI Center. It's 25,000 people in the MCI Center. Bobby Knight, I forgot who they were playing, but they were playing before us. So they interviewed me, right, and said,
This before the game.
Before the game.
Okay.
This before the game. They interviewed me in kind of in the hallway before you even run out to the game. So they say, Elijah Allen, you playing against Khalid El-Amin. UConn was like 4th in the country. It had to be like, they was about 4th in the country, 3rd or 4th in the country. And they didn't win it that year. The following year, they wound up winning the whole thing. But at that time, it was like 4th in the country. And the reporter said, I know you probably very nervous right now. You're playing against Khalid El-Amin, Richard Hamilton, Jake Bosco. All them guys went to the NBA. And I can't think of his name offhand, but he was from Patterson Catholic, played with Tim Thomas.
Freeman.
So they was all top-notch, great players. Of course, what happened with Rip Hamilton and all of them. But my point in saying this story is, I told the reporter, I said, listen, if you know what I've been through, if you know where I came from, if you know where I played at, and was one of the things that prepared me for that level, and people who watch this podcast and know, people that's a little bit older, was the whole.
Oh yeah.
The whole, simply the whole. At the end of the day, anybody that was somebody coming up in North during them 90s had to play in the whole. And when you played in an environment like that, that prepares you for that environment. That's why I was telling the reporter, I said, if you really know what I've been through, you'll understand that I'm ready. Yes. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm not nervous. I'm ready to go, because when played in environments like the whole, And I was just talking to one of my guys, my a good friend of mine, Wadu, who had a team and whole that I played for in the beginning. You talking about 35, 40,000 on a game, easy.
Oh, yeah.
Now I ain't saying it was right, and I ain't condoning gambling, I ain't talking about, but that's just the reality.
That's what it is, yeah, absolutely.
That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talking about, you ain't talking about sitting back in the bleachers, but you talking about in the whole, before they, they done redid the court and expanded it way out, but I'm talking about the whole where the court was small and everybody is around the end line. You can't even see the out of bounds because everybody's on the line. That's pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's pressure. 40,000 on the game, and you down one and you at the free throw line. That's pressure. You know what I'm saying? So those are the type of things that prepared me to play. For that not only college but playing in that type of environment in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So
like you said, I mean, he lays his shoes up just like you do. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my thing here. And to your point here, you're at the free throw line. I think I better make this free throw. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was that, it was those type of things that prepared me for doing, doing what I did at the next level. And I'm gonna tell you, the game before that, playing against Charles Jones and them at LIU, to get to the NCAA tournament was a hell of an environment as well. And Charles Jones at the time was the leading scorer in the nation. So like you said, even though it's mid-major, you had some wars, man. Definitely had some wars. Yeah. So, that prepared me to move on to play in France, man.
Now, even before the France shot, I mean, did you think you might sneak in and get drafted, or do you think, I mean, did you know, or you were just going to see what happens free agency wise?
It was something that was being talked about. That, saying that because after that game, I wound up going to Portsmouth, Virginia, which is the first combine camp, for seniors. And then, from that is Chicago. And then I think at the time was Phoenix or something like that. So I was able to go to Portsmouth, Felipe Lopez was there, Catino Mobley was there, guys like that was there. And, I did pretty well. But one of the things I think was a little rough, that was the year they had the lockout as well.
Okay.
So with them having a lockout, there was no summer leagues or anything like that. But they was saying that I could possibly get drafted in the second round, man. And, unfortunately, it didn't happen. But just being in the mix was a blessing, man. Coming just a kid, as the t-shirts say, just a kid from Newark or a kid from this. No, I was just a kid from 4652 Asher Street, man, that found his way, in the mix of possibly going second round, something like that. It didn't work out. Wound up going to Pro A France. That's a long way from Astor Street, man. Yeah. Pro A France, So, that was a blessing, man. So,
Now being out in France, did you was out there like, hi, I'm gonna make a career overseas, or was it still one thing like, hey, this is gonna just get me back another opportunity to get to the NBA?
Listen, one thing about me, man, and I don't do, I rarely, talk a lot on podcasts and stuff like, not that I'm anybody special. I'm just kind of a low key person. I have my little fun, but I just don't say too much. But one thing about me, I hated being away from home, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. But I remember my first day in France, man. I called home. I probably shed like 2 minutes worth of tears. Like, man, I'm gonna make it out here, man. And it was a great place. Like, I was in Gravelines, France. Had a nice little condominium. My daughter was just born, and stuff like that. I was blessed, man. But that was a reality check, man. You on your own. You can't really speak the language.
Yeah.
And you got to find a way to make it. And I'm not a cook, so I had to find a way to make it out there, man. But I wouldn't change a thing, man. So I played in France and had a pretty good year, and after my first year in France, I wound up coming back playing in the Vegas League with the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
I played in the Vegas League with the Golden State Warriors, and during that time they had just signed Mookie Blaylock, these older heads that some people probably wouldn't know of, but Mookie Blaylock, Muggsy Bogues, they had drafted a young man named Montego Cummings from Pittsburgh. You know, so I felt like I played pretty well out there. But you know, I didn't get invited back to camp, man. So, you know, that was kind of how my pro thing went, man. But I really didn't like it overseas. You know, I played in France, and I kind of never, you know, I never went back, man. And I really didn't like it overseas, you know. But it was still a blessing to experience it, though.
Nah, I can only imagine, man. With all that going on, some of the homesickness, but even the latter part of college. I mean, just thinking about if this ball thing don't work out, what I'm gonna do the rest of my life. Did you, or was it just tunnel vision? Hey, I'm gonna just see this thing through, and I'll figure the rest out later.
Nah, I always thought of having a plan. I mean, when I was in school, you know, my goal was really to be in kind of in law enforcement, because I have a degree in criminal justice. So my thing was really like, once basketball was over, I wanted to get into like maybe like being a probation. I didn't really want to be a police officer, but I wanted to be like a probation officer. You know, something in that field or in that realm. And it's funny, man, how God, how God works, man. I wound up, when I stopped playing overseas, I wound up coaching, assistant coach with the NJIT girls first.
Okay.
Right. And this is before they became Division One. This is before the big arena and all of this, beautiful things they got going over there. And I tell people, and I always revert back to I tell people all the time, you never know who you're gonna see on the way down. That's why it's so important to use the basketball and not let the basketball use you, right? Because when you on top and you playing ball, you out in the limelight, you running, a lot of people, you meeting a lot of different people. Always stay humble, man, because you never know, when that ball stop bouncing. I learned this at an early age. When that ball stop bouncing, the same people you seen on the way up, you're gonna see on the way down.
Right.
So when I came home, the women's coach at FDU, Coach Beverly, I love Coach Beverly, legendary coach, legendary women's coach. She had, at that time, she had left FDU and was at NJIT. And she said, "E, why don't you?" And I was living right down the street from NJIT, right? She said, "Why don't you come and coach?" So I started coaching. I coached there for a year as an assistant coach with the girls, right? And once so that was kind of my introduction to coaching.
Okay.
So all of a sudden I got off the path of doing criminal justice, and now I was in coaching, and something that I thought I would never do. I thought I never inspired to be a coach. I always thought that, I don't know how I would be able to handle this that generation at the time, or, different things, or whatever the case may be. You have some people that went right into coaching. Like, I think, like with Coach Holloway, with Shaheen, he, played some years, and, one of the toughest guards ever come through Jersey, but he jumped right on the coaching at City Hall. I never even thought about coaching, to be honest. And then when I got introduced to that, before you know it, I was working in the board as a sub. Started working in the board as a sub teacher. And you know who got me into high school coaching with the boys? Mayor Raz Baraka.
Raz, yeah.
Mayor Raz Baraka, because I had been knowing Raz for years. Even back before being a mayor, and then his brother Mitty. I've been I've been knowing him for years. We was playing ball in the YMCA. And Raz stayed on me, said, "E, I'm telling you, I'm about to move on. I'm telling you, you'll be great." I was like, "Nah, Raz, I don't want to do this, man." He even put me on as an assistant. And then I left and started working at I had left and started working at Champion Mortgage. Couldn't sell one mortgage. I couldn't sell one mortgage, right?
But he stayed on you though, huh?
And by me doing, and when I did that, he still never gave away that assistant job. He said, "I'm gonna give him some time." And I wound up coming back, and he said, "Yo, come on back." And the rest has been history, man. Those are stories that you don't share, a lot of times, unless you on a great podcast like yours, man. But people would be amazed how some of us got where we are.
That's crazy, man. I appreciate you sharing that, man. And so you got that bug hit you, man. You just went.
Yeah, I came in as an assistant in 2004, under Rise and just, under Mayor Rise, and just learned a lot, man. Came in humble, humbly came in and didn't think I knew it all, and just learned. And when Mayor Rise moved on, then I wound up becoming, the head coach, and I think it was like 2005. And the crazy part about this, what I mean, this what I mean by, we have to pay it forward. Like we have to, and I try to be, always been a humble person, but we got to pay it forward and try to tell these young ones, about what's going on. Because somebody, like I said earlier, somebody did it for us. The person that hired me, Mr. Leon, and we going back almost 20, 15 years, 16 years, is now the superintendent of the Board of Education. Isn't that funny how he was the principal at the time, hired me in 2005, and now he's the superintendent of all schools, of all of the North Board of Education. So that thing about staying humble,
yes,
and you see the same people you see on the way up, on the way down, and all those different things. That's everything, man. That means everything. That's why your attitude at a young age is so important, because it could come back to bite you later on in life when you're ready to get a good job and settle down. The people you may offend when you're younger, you may see them when you're older. They may be in between you getting that great job. So it's important that the younger generation learn that at an early age.
You're right, man. So you get this gig, man. You small school. You trying to figure out what you're gonna do. I mean, I tell you one thing. With university, like we played them. There was in our conference back when, before obviously stuff dispersed or what have you at Immaculate. So we played. So I used to just love going down to one. It was some girls there.
Right.
Yeah. First and foremost, I mean, obviously the game we had to play, but it was all obviously I know the little lineage or what have you. Obviously the girls teams and how dominant they've been throughout the years, and even the men. I mean, obviously Herm was there, back when, and then during when I was there, it was Terrence had his run. Terrence Hunter, he had his run. He had his run when I was there. So but you get there, man. Like obviously, was it daunting, man? Was it like what I'm gonna do, or you just kind of just rolled the sleeves and got to it?
Well, I just kind of got to it, man, and the thing about me is, man, I was big on. I always say I'm not necessarily the best coach when it comes to X's and O's. You got some coaches who are great at plays, right? But my thing was, I'm gonna try to get all my players at a certain skill level and keep the plays minimum. That was my thing. My approach was, because at the end of the day, my approach to it was, I want to see guys get to the next level. That was my approach to coach. It really wasn't about, I mean, we all want to win. Yes. But that really wasn't my focus about winning championships. I always said that would come with it. But my goal was to get players, to the next level, to teach them how to be, young men on and off the court, and discipline. Because I can't, like we talked about earlier, I came from an environment where it was discipline. Being in Catholic school, then going to St. Benedict's, prep with Father Ed, not to jump all around, but I remember as a freshman, because these are the core values that I took as a coach. I remember being a freshman, and I come in, you know how it was when we grew up in the city. We come in with that swag, we ninth graders, we feel like can't nobody guard us, all that good stuff, right? The first marking period ended, I had a 2.0. Father Ed pulled me to the side. He said, "Listen, son, I could care less about you left-handed. You could dribble. Good. If you don't do better academically, you will not be here at St. Benedict's Prep." I was like, "Oh." And now you talking about ninth grade. You talking about 14 years old. I'm 40-some years old right now, and I still remember that conversation. So, but that was important because that let me know that it's bigger than basketball.
Yes.
And so I come from that disciplined environment. So that's the same approach I took here at university. It wasn't easy. You had a lot of people, you had some players that fought it or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, my philosophy was, listen, it's going to be done this way because you may not understand it now, but you'll understand later on. And at the end of the day, you may not like me. That's all right. because I'm not here to be friends with 14, 15, and 16-year-olds. I'm here to see you be successful, whether you like me or not. But I have a lot of my players come back and say, yo, thank you, coach.
Yes.
I appreciate it, coach. Because, and that was my philosophy. But along with that philosophy, I also took that approach that I gotta work. I'm not as talented as the other coaches. That's how I looked at myself as a player. I gotta outwork. My mindset was like, I'm just gonna get in here and work. I'm gonna get in here at 6 a.m, have my players come in here and put the skill work in. Are we gonna do skill work in the afternoon? So my biggest thing was development, man. And as the players got better, that's when the championships came. And speaking of one player, when we spoke, when we spoke is, through text message, you brought up one of the best players ever played, Kazembe.
Yeah.
Kazembe was a perfect example, man. Kazembe came to me. You don't like me to tell this story, but Kazembe came to me, had 2 knee pads on, man. He had the little pack. Look at my boy, man, big fella. But he was athletic, ran the court immediately. Let's get that handle right. By the time we won our first county championship, he was getting the ball on the wing, shooting threes. Shooting threes, and then wound up having a great career in Drexel and now, overseas. So for me, it was about getting players ready to play at the next level. That's always been, my coaching, philosophy, or, that's how, I just rolled up the sleeves, and my goal was to get players better and help them get to the next level. And, the championships and all that stuff will come. And of course, discipline.
Yeah, nah, you're right, man. And obviously university, even though I'm obviously joking about, playing with them, but I know academically, even back when, you had to get in, you had to, maintain and actually want to get accepted to go there and get in there and stay there. Now, even with that being said, with some of those standards involved there, how'd you get these guys, man? Because again, you competing with, I don't know how many North schools it is now, or even when you started, man. It's crazy, man. Like, how'd you just get them and not only get them, but keep them there?
It's crazy, man, because of course we, you go out and watch the young guys play, man. But a lot of times, man, I just, believe it or not, my philosophy toward it was I'm just gonna work with what comes in the building. Now, of course, you have a few, players that you may talk to or refer to you or whatever the case may be. But for the most part, man, I just worked with what was given to me. You know what I'm saying? I never, tried to talk to other players. I never, would tell a player, listen, man, come play for me. I'll do this for you. That just wasn't my style. You know what I'm saying? And listen, we have some great schools and great coaches or whatever the case may be, man. But just, my approach to it was I just, if I can get kids in here that want to work, want to put the effort in, want to go to class, we can make something happen. So a lot of times I just work with what was given to me. Now, I'm not going to say and tell you I wasn't blessed to have some great players, come through the door. With the Kazembes, with the Devon Gibsons, and I can't even name them all, man. I don't even want, but I was blessed to have some great players. Even later on down the line, Zamir Wright that just graduated from Felician, Tariq McKenna. I've been blessed, man, and we just go to work from there, and that was always my philosophy.
Nah, that's what it is, man. I know as a player, it eluded you, man, but you mess around and wound up getting that county chip, man.
Man, you talking about, starting in 05, I remember, and I say this, man, and it just kind of because you're bringing me back now, you know what I'm saying? You bringing me back. And I remember even when I first took the job, and back in the day when it was time for the Christmas tournament, now everything is, electronically done, and how we talking on a, like that. But back then you had to, we all went down to the board of education, all the coaches got in a room and was going back and forth about who should be first, who should be second, who should be third, da. And I remember going in that meeting in 05, like 05, 06 season, and they said, I'm in the room with Coach Gaylord, legendary coach, Coach Grimsley, legendary coach, right? Of course, coach from East Side who's still coaching, Coach Tarvez and everybody. So I'm like, put me wherever, man. I haven't accomplished anything. I can't come in here. I humbly appreciate being, in this
Even in the room,
in this environment with such great just being in the room, right? Just being in the room. So, but that was my mindset, is that I gotta work, and I ain't gonna do a lot of talking. I'm just gonna get to a basketball on the court. That was my philosophy. I'm just gonna work. I'm just gonna get in here and work with my players and start to make my players better. The better they get, the more opportunity we have. The more wins we'll get. But it start with skill development, right? I can have as many plays as I want, but if the kid can't make a layup with the left hand, right hand, then what does it matter? So that was kind of my, approach to it. So to get to, we got our butt kicks. We got our butt kicked a few times, right? Because during that time, science with Booby and Fat Man and all those guys, they was doing their thing, So my thing was like, we just got to keep working. We had a couple pieces, because Zimbe had transferred in, or whatever the case may be. And by that time, we had put it up. Then we had a kid, may he rest in peace, Brandon Waiters, legitimate freshman starting point guard, right? A kid named Sahad Dortch, Dave. So by the time we got to 09, we had it all together, man. And we just got rolling. And we was able to be the great team in East Side for the first county, and then wound up winning the states. Then turned around and did it again the following year, playing against Seton Prep. I think it was Sterling. One of the Gibbs was the point guard.
Okay.
And then coaching against, the legendary coach Bob Farrell, who was the coach when I was playing.
When he was playing, When
I was playing, he was the coach at Seton Prep. So, I just been blessed, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. Just blessed, man. Real talk.
And then even the tournament champions and all the other stuff, man. Like, do you feel like you actually playing sometimes too when coaching? I mean, again, I know that sounds weird to say, but but just still being a competitor or what have you, man. Like, just being on the other side, how is it, man? Because I don't know. I just like to just hear what coaches just be going through or just be feeling, man. Because it ain't like you could just grab the rock and go out there yourself.
Right. I'm gonna tell you, it's funny you make that statement, man, because I tell young coaches, not tell young coaches like I'm something special, but I just tell coaches that want to get in the game and want to be a head coach or want to be a coach, you have to really be done with your career, though. Okay. I had to learn that at when I first, came in, and learn from the greats, like I said, learning from the greats, like Coach Lou and Coach Gaylord and stuff like that. Learning from those great coaches who have been there before and have done it before me. I had to realize that you'll go crazy, trying to make someone have the work ethic you had, or make someone love the game or be obsessed with the game like you were, right? So I had to learn that you'll run yourself crazy. So I tell coaches that's getting in the game or young coaches that get in the game, you have to be totally finished with your career, because at the end of the day, you got to coach. Just take for example a varsity team. You got 15 varsity kids. Each one motivate differently.
Yes.
Each one motivate differently. You may have to yell at this one. You may have to talk nicely to this one. Whatever it takes to get your point across. So as I got older, I realized that, because you never lie when you sit on the side and saying, if that was me, I would have. You'll be doing that your whole career, and it's crazy, because we've had young men the same way we had the Kazimbes, the Derek Hunters, those type of great players. We've had players that didn't reach their full potential. And I always wanted to say that it wouldn't be because of me. Because at the end of the day, my thing is I'm going to stay on you all the way until you leave these doors. I'm going to stay on you whether you like it or not, all the way until you leave these doors. So when you do look back, you can never say that, coach, he ain't try.
Yes.
So at the same time, I had to realize you can't save everybody. And that was important. That goes back to, what you just said, being a coach and also being a player at the same, being a player. You have to really bury that, Because if not, you'll go home with headache after headache.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the biggest thing that I would tell a young coach who getting in the game is you can't look at players and say, if that was me, I would have did that. Because you'll be going home headache after headache after headache. What you try to do is save as many people as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And those that you can't, then, you know, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned that too, man. And it kind of parallels, as you know, parenting as well too. You got this whole vision of your child or children, and you know, but it's their lives when it's all said and done, man. So it's kind of interesting you say there's a lot of parallels with that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, we want to take everything for our, you know, we could take every experience for our, you know, our kids, we would. But the bottom line is, you know, you could talk and talk and talk, and but they still have to go through it.
That's right.
You know, and you just try to prepare them as much as you can. You know, I remember my grandmother, you know, when I was young, and you know, when you're young, you running around, you all over the place, you hanging, you chilling. And before my grandmother passed away, she always would say, son, you're gonna value peace and quiet one day. You know, my mother would say, she rest in peace. You're going to value peace and quiet. Now that went right over your head when you was younger. Peace and quiet. What are you talking about? Now, I totally understand what grandma and mom mean. I totally understand what they mean, right? Because a great night sometimes is just sitting there and doing absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of my favorite pastimes, man.
Yeah, doing absolutely nothing, man. Maybe sitting on the balcony, on the porch, whatever, and just, you know, relaxing. Where years ago when parents was trying to tell you peace and quiet, you're like, peace and quiet, man. Listen, I'm out every night, or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot of, you know, values and points you don't get till later on. You know, and that's the same thing I try to, you know, pass on as a coach, man. I try to get them certain things that sometimes they may come back 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 7 years from now, and say, I understand what you're saying, coach. I finally understand what you mean. So,
no, most definitely, man. With playing basketball or just in general, man, what has it given you that sticks with you to this day?
You know, when I was getting ready for the podcast,
I know you probably did your homework, yeah.
Yeah, but no. This is the crazy thing I'm about to tell you. Now, you know, I like to, you know, I still got my little Benedicts in me, man. Say I got my button up all the way to the top.
I peeped that,
You know, my boys, they be like, come on, bro. Like, oh, man, this how I came up, man. This how, when I was at St. Benedict's, you know, we went to the top on them, man, you know. But I looked at I started to wear this T-shirt, right? This little Nike, I ain't gonna say I started to wear a T-shirt. I'm just saying I thought about it. Of course, you know, I want to come make sure I'm, you know, presentable in the court. But the T-shirt said, basketball saved my life. It was a Nike shirt. You know, I had it for like a couple years, probably 2 or 3 years. I probably would never get rid of that shirt. I don't care how I look. You know, I work out in the gym with it, but it's real talk.
Yes.
Because basketball really, you know, really saved my life, in my opinion. Because if I'm spending every single day working on my game, right? And like you said, it was time my grandma wouldn't let me leave the porch. But guess what I would do? I would bounce the ball right in front of the window. You know, that's what I try to impress upon the younger generation too. You don't always need to, you know, they got a lot of things. You know, they got way more. You know, I look at what Raz has done with the basketball courts in North.
Yes.
All of them look like top-notch courts, man. They got the, you know, the color coordinated. They got the man, you know, back in the day, man, we had little rocks and stuff all on the pavement, you know, a hole over here. You can't bounce it over there. You might lose the ball on that side, you know. So, you know, I try to, you know, that's why I say how basketball saved my life, because at the end of the day, all that time that I was spending on basketball, you know, I could have been doing something else. You know, I could have easily got in trouble. I could have, you know, I'm not immune to nothing else that went on. But having that basketball and really going from liking the game to loving the game to obsessed with the game, that took up all my time. And that meant everything. And you know, another thing that's different is that I appreciate, you know, even as old heads now, you know how the old heads get together sometimes on a Friday or Saturday. You know, I tell my big bros that I grew up around on Astor Street. I tell them all the time I appreciate them, man, because they all once, you know, they seen my how focused I was on ball. They never let me get into nothing. If something was going on, and you would stay, and if you knew Astor Street, you would know that the block started. It was a small block, and it started at Clinton Ave, at the top of Clinton Ave, right? And they used to have the little Roy Rogers and all that. And it was just one block that went all the way down to Pennsylvania Ave, and that was it. That was it. But at the end of the day, there was a lot going on our block, right?
Oh, yeah.
And my brothers, my older, I call them my bros, man, always kept me focused and always used to tell my grandmother that, listen, he could go to the court. Grandma, he good. We got him. He good. Whatever we got going on, he ain't never gonna be a part of that because we gonna make sure. So just to, sum it up, man, basketball saved my life. And on top of that, it took me a lot of places, man. It took me a lot of places that, it may not, I may not have went. I don't know if I ever would have went to France. I don't know if I ever would have went to Pro A France. I definitely wouldn't have been able to play in the Vegas League. I remember playing in the Vegas League, and even though I didn't make the league, but I'm playing in the Vegas League in 90, what was this, 99, I believe. I played in the Vegas League. That was the Dirk Nowitzki first year in the league. Every time you come in as a rookie, you play in that Vegas League first.
Right.
I remember playing against Dallas Mavericks, and Dirk Nowitzki shoots a fadeaway jump shot. I'm like, I ain't never see a 7-footer.
Right.
Who would have known years later that he would have been the player he was? But I had a chance to see him right there. So, I tell you all the time, man, I was blessed, man. And I live with no regrets because I know I put in the work and I got the best, the best out of my talent. The only regret that I have in basketball is that I didn't stay overseas a little bit longer and maybe give myself Coach Fred Hill, who's a big influence in my life to this day, always tell me, he's like, E, you did great for yourself, son, but I wish you would have stayed overseas a little bit longer because I believe that if you stayed a little bit longer, you would have had your fair shot at playing in the NBA. And that's really the only, and I don't really even call it a regret. I would just say, I wish I would have stayed maybe a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 more years. But other than that, man, I'm just blessed, man. Real talk. I'm blessed about everything I could have got out of my talent.
Nah, definitely, man. That's what it is. I appreciate you sharing that, man. Got to throw you on the spot here on the back end of this, man. I know.
Man.
All right, cool,
Absolutely.
man. Have some fun, man. Some random, not so random things here, man. So, being a Jersey guy, man. Parkway to Turnpike.
Oh man, boy, this is why your podcast is smooth, boy. I tell you, man. You know what? Turnpike. I'm a Turnpike guy. I ain't even gonna lie. Turnpike. Parkway always cluttered, man.
Yeah. Great Adventure, Action Park.
Oh, I ain't going to neither one. I ain't getting on no ride. I got on one ride. I got on a parachute one day. It was a parachute in Great Adventure. All it did was go up and come back down. But when it went up, it looked like it went up about 3,000 feet. And I'll never forget looking down saying, please, brother, bring me down, brother. I ain't been on a ride since then, man. I ain't going to neither.
Nah. I hear you, man. The club or block party?
Woo! Listen, man. Listen, I had two. I probably got to say the club, man.
Okay.
You taking me back, man. One of my favorite clubs was right around the corner called Atmosphere, man. That was where all I had all the brothers. That's where all the brothers went, and we had one more while we had it, because just in case any of the coaches check this out, we had something called a clubhouse. Now I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna tell you, all the great coaches in Newark used to come to. They I ain't say they came every time, but they done made an appearance at that club.
They popped in, huh? They popped in. They showed their face, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Bragman's or Cooper's?
Oh, man, Cooper's. I still miss Cooper's on South Orange Ave, man.
Yeah.
That was my joint. Corned beef. Absolutely.
I know you obviously had to wear uniforms to school here, man, but how's that foot game, man? We got British Walkers or Wallies?
Oh, that's tough. British Walkers or Wallies? I guess I gotta go with the Wallies, man.
Okay. All right, cool.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie to you.
What's up?
Back in the day, man, I had to pay tonics, man. They still hiking on me on them joints.
Well, Hakeem's, those are Hakeem's joints back. Yeah. Yeah.
But they said the only problem was I was a point guard, man.
Oh, all right.
So it's all love, though.
Yeah. Dr. J is a universal.
Oh, that's huge. That's big right there. I guess I got to go with Dr. J's, man. Universal, they used to take you in the back, though. You know, they ain't. But Dr. J's, you can. I got to go with Dr. J, no doubt.
Okay. Now, even with that being said, man, the whole or the why?
Woo, come on, man. Come on. Don't do that, man. Man,
It's both. That's cool, but
listen. First of all, I ain't the player I am without the whole.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the YMCA was the dungeon. We called that the dungeon. Yeah. So I gotta go with both, man, because the YMCA, man, listen, that's where I spent all. Once I got a little older, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm in that YMCA. And so many great players and came out the Y too. That I gotta go with both, man. Absolutely.
FDU or St. Benedict's?
Oh man, I gotta go with both, man. Because without St. Benedict's, I can't go to FDU, man. You know, St. Benedict's is what hurts me, hurts my brother, man. That's to the heart. Absolutely.
And I gotta ask this, Kenny Anderson, what he meant to you, man?
Oh, come on, man.
I remember you, number 12, with the
that,
mirror,
man.
everything, man.
Listen, man.
And left-handed.
I went and got the part down the middle, man, when I was messing with Kenny, man. That was my idol, man. I remember having all the videos, man, watching Kenny at Georgia Tech. And I finally got a chance to meet him when I was at FDU because the Nets used to practice at FDU.
Okay.
And we had a coach, assistant coach, his name was Coach Holford. And he was from Queens. And he knew Kenny very well. And when they came to practice, I like to say I might have been a freshman. He told Kenny, said, listen, man, I got a point guard here, freshman, and you like his idol, man. And he really would love to meet you. And I had a chance to really sit down and meet Kenny, man. But that was my dude, man. Yeah. For real. That was my guy.
Playing or coaching?
Wow. You know, I gotta take both, man, because I never thought coaching would of course playing, what playing meant to me. Playing is everything, man. Even to this day, I always tell people I can shoot with you. I ain't playing no defense though. I always keep the jump shot right. I ain't got no D for you. But but coaching, man, coaching has been so fulfilling, man. I ain't even gonna lie to see my guys, come back and not just basketball, but just the great young men they turn out to be.
Yes.
And me just being a part of that, I could never take away the coaching, especially when I in my mind I said I'll never want to coach. But nah, man, I love coaching. No matter how much coaches go home and say, man, I can't do this, we get back up the next day and do it again. Because it's to see the kids come back and say, Coach, I'm doing this. Coach, I'm doing that. And I know we got to go, right? But I always got to tell this story. I had a kid, and he used to have a fit. And he wasn't even one of the star players. He used to have a fit that I used to say, listen, you got to get up 6 in the morning. You got to be at school by 7. We working out from 7 to 8. Then we going to class, right? Some of them used to have a fit because remember, you sometimes you are of your experiences, right? Because that's what I used to do, right? Ran into him years later at the 7-Eleven, right, on Irvington Ave, right? He's a mailman. He said, Coach, I appreciate you. I'm like, dang, what happened? He's like, those 7 in the mornings I used to get mad at? Now I do double shifts at the mail at the post office. He's like, I get off one shift and my supervisor say, listen, we got another shift available for you. But I understand you just got off this one, so you might not want to do. He said, listen, I went to University High School where the coach used to make me get up at 6 in the morning, get to school at 7, work out from 7 to 8, and then I had to go downstairs and just wash under my arms and put some deodorant and get to class. He's like, man, I ain't worried about that. I'll take that next shift. Stories like that you just, be like, you know what?
That says it all,
So, definitely both, man.
Best game you ever played in your life, man? Like on any level? Was it just? I mean, I know you talked about the UConn joint, but it could be something else, man. Best game you ever played, you think? On any level, at any level.
Wow. Of course the college game, right? But I remember some wars, and you know what? I remember one particular war, right? And I don't know if this name ring any bells to you. We was playing in West Side Rec,
Okay.
right? And I'm a little older, so my memory serves me correctly. I believe I was playing against Eric Watkins.
Okay.
I don't know if this name. I think he was on that all county list too. That 93. I think he was second team too. Boy, we had a shootout that I never forget. I could have swore I had 50 and he might have had like 48. Like it was like it was a couple people that was at the West Side Rec that talk about that to this day. But it was just like, because he was a hell of a shooter too. And that's probably it's games like that none of those other games you played in college would happen. None of those pro games would happen. So I would say that's probably one because, you get in some games where defense, you got the best defense in the world. But when you got somebody coming, stepping over half court, pulling that three, it's hard to guard that. So if you can't guard it, you better have a comeback for it. And it was just like one of the most spectacular games I can remember, man. So I would probably say that West Side Rec game, man. Right, he had like 40-some. I had probably close to 40-some, close to 50. It was crazy, man.
Yeah. Best team you ever been on?
Wow.
On any level, whether it's summer league, whether it's college or whatever, was best team.
I had some great college teams, man. Matter of fact, we just went into the Hall of Fame this year for the 97-98 team, right? And we had some great players. But I'm gonna tell you, my third round summer league team led by my boy Big Zach. That was a hell of a team, man. You talking about, Horace Jenkins that played for the Pistons. You talking about Khalid Corsi Smooth that played for Shabazz. You talking about Snap Barner from Hillside that's dunking on everybody. You talking about Big Tim Williams that played at North Tech and Feet Thomas.
So Barkley,
Yeah, Big Bob from Science. We just had that team, man. I like to say, and I know some of the players that had great summer league teams. And now I like to say, our main leagues that we played in was Branchwood Park, of course, East Orange Pro-Am League, and then we also played in the tournament out in I can't even think of the damn name. The GG Brown tournament. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's in Plainfield. That was a big time tournament with some great players. But I like to say that summer league, that third round summer league team, man, we must have ran off 3 straight years of winning every single title. Like 2 or 3 straight years. So that team right there, man, I got to go with my third round squad, man. We was just we were some killers, man, as a team.
As a player, is it any game that you like to have back?
Absolutely. You know what game? The year before we went to play LIU, and that 98 team that wound up playing against UConn. The year before that, we lost in triple overtime to Monmouth. So the 97-98 team went to the that was the team that played against UConn, but the 96-97 team, we lost to Monmouth in triple overtime. Right? And I had multiple, it was one particular opportunity where I had the free throws that probably could have really propelled us, and I missed. I still think about that game to this day, man. Those free throws that I missed that might have gave us an opportunity to play LIU at first my junior year. That would have gave us an opportunity to play LIU at LIU. And that year, because of those missed free throws, we wound up losing. And Monmouth played LIU with Charles Jones. This was his junior year. This was our junior year. Charles Jones and them beat Monmouth, and they wound up playing against Tim Thomas and them when he was at Villanova in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And then we wound up going the following year. So I think about that all the time.
How about as a coach?
Wow. You know what? You know the game that really, yeah, that's funny. You know the game that we killed, probably the last time that we was in the state tournament.
Mm-hmm.
We scored, we was playing against Neptune. We scored a bucket. This was probably the last time we was in the state. Well, that wasn't the last time we was in the state tournament, but this was probably in 2012. I think this was in 2012 when we lost this particular state title, right? And we playing against Neptune. We missed it. We actually we had a guy named Keith Foster that played for us. Keith is now went to Wagner on a full scholarship the whole nine. We had Akron Watley, who was the point guard, went to Iowa, played football. I like to say I think it was Iowa, yeah, went to Iowa, played football. Anyway, we in Rutgers, he throws a pass to Keith. Keith hits the three. We go up one. I should have called timeout.
Yeah.
I should have called timeout. We go up one. Now, mind you, we just was in a timeout before that play. And I told them, we score, just pick up your man, do not reach, right? Do not reach. You know, that's one of the worst problems in this generation is reaching, right? But if I can get that play back, I still think about that. And that was in 2012. Do that mean that Neptune wouldn't have won? No, but I still think about that particular play that I should have called timeout because Neptune comes right back. We reach, they score, they beat us by 1 or 2, and I think it was 1. They beat us by 1 or 2 in the state title run in 2012. Yeah. So, man, you got some good questions, man. Back, man. I had me thinking all the way on the turnpike home.
That's funny, man. Y'all Benedict's team, man. You're starting
man.
5. You're starting 5. And I know Benedict's made that shift, and I wanted to ask you now, that whole shift to obviously, you know, they started getting other players internationally, but again, it's a soccer school. Your national champs, everything in soccer as well too. So, with all that being, this could be positionless as well.
You know the only thing that kind of that you know with all the transfers coming in and everything like that. Well, don't get me wrong. You know, there's nothing wrong. I know Coach Danny Hurley was the coach and stuff like that, but they missed the total Benedict's because to me, you don't get the total Benedict's experience unless you came in the 9th grade and you had to do the overnight, right? You had to do the overnight, and then turn around later on before the school year's out as a 9th grader. You had to do when we had to do what we call the trail, which means we went to Delaware. We had to stay a week, and we was on the trail. Everybody had they had their groups. You was responsible for the food. You was responsible for the tent. See, all that is the reason why, or one of the reasons why Benedict guys are so tight, no matter what year you graduate, because it's stuff like the overnight and the trail, where you might have been somebody that I don't even mess with my boys. I don't even mess with my dudes. But guess what? You was forced. If you was like that, you was gonna be forced to meet some other dudes because you wasn't gonna make it in the woods by yourself. You wasn't gonna make it in the overnight by yourself. So that's the only, to me, downfall with a lot of it. You know, when transfers start coming in, they miss that part, man. But still great players. But wow, this 5 is hard. Right? Listen, I gotta put myself on there, right? I don't know if that's been biased.
No, not at all.
You got to put J.R. Smith on there. Oh man, who's another 3? I had some great players on my team too, man. But
this your 5, man.
You had some guys that went to the NBA though, like you talking about you got J.R. Smith, then you got Tristan Thompson, right? That's 3. Wow, who from my era though? Damn, I can't think. You had Jamar Scott. That was when I was there. Jamar was tough. Jamar was tough too. Now Jamar Scott, what's that? 4?
That's 4. One more.
Damn, I'm missing somebody. I gotta be missing someone. I gotta put my boy either. This gonna be crazy, man. Listen, when they see this podcast, it was like, what the? But I gotta put somebody from my squad,
Okay.
either Tyrone Finley or Chris Hammond.
Yeah, Tyrone. Okay. And Chris. Yeah, Chris. Yeah.
And Chris Hammond, because Chris was tough as nails,
Chris
man.
is
It
tough, real tough.
wasn't
Yeah.
about skills and anything. I'm gonna go with Chris, man. I'm gonna go with Chris Hammond because it ain't about always. It's not always about scoring. Yeah. Hammond was the type of dude that like, who do I have? Who do I have? I don't care how good he is, how good he was, if he kicked my butt, he gonna be something special. I'm gonna walk him to the locker room. I'm gonna walk him to his bench.
Nah, Chris is my man. Nah, Chris and Tyrone. Chris and Tyrone, absolutely.
And Ty, both of them, man. I put both of them in there. I just go with Hammond because defensively. So
now, just from your era, man. Best player you ever seen just from your era, high school player. Like, I'll keep it Jersey.
Best high school player I seen from my era. Wow. I gotta say, man, listen, Horace Jenkins was a problem. And my boy, Lance D-Rock. It's too many to name, but just if I just look at my year, and I know you say anybody, but Horace Jenkins, man, Hojo was Hojo was a problem, man. I gotta put Lance up there too, and D-Rock, man. But Hojo, I seen Hojo, like, we played on the same summer league, and that's like my brother, from even though being from Elizabeth, but that's like my brother from another mother, man. Hojo, I done seen Hojo run off 20 in a row. And I ain't talking about this against them, I'm talking about against pro players. I'm like, so I'm gonna go my boy Hojo, man.
Yeah. Somebody who should have made it. However you define made it.
Somebody that should have made it. My boy Kais Dixon.
From East Side?
Remember Kais?
From East Side?
From East Side.
Okay.
Kais was a killer, man. Kais should have, if Kais had really stuck to playing ball, if that's like really was his focus playing balls, no doubt he would have, played at the, at the next level. And I'm gonna tell you another name, Terry Nella. Terry Nella. I just ran into T Nella too. If T really focused on like really, we talking about 2 Division I players. Easy.
Best part about being Elijah Allen.
Wow. Hey man, I think just a cool, humble brother, man. Cool, humble brother, man. I think that, the best part about being me, man, is I stay humble, but been blessed to see a lot. This ball has really taken me, very far. Not just playing, but coaching wise. So I don't know if I'm really answering your question.
You answered it. Definitely.
But that's that's really the best part. And plus, I ain't gonna lie, man. Listen, I noticed the podcast and you keep it 100, man. When I think about being in 4 different Hall of Fames, and it ain't the NBA Hall of Fame, but I'm like, that. When I look back at my old pictures, man, I'm like, yo, this dude was 150, man. This dude was 150. And to be considered the best in 4 different, or one of the best, not the best, but one of the best, and from St. Benedict's to FDU to
North Hall of Fame, all that,
to the North Hall of Fame, like the city you grew up in. It's nothing. Don't get me wrong. Benedict's mean everything to me. You know what I'm saying? FDU mean everything to me. And then going to FDU twice with the team. With the 97, 98 team. But to be considered one of the best in your city, and how many great players came out of North, and you to be, in that Hall of Fame, it's nothing better, man. So I think back and be like, wow, man, like, it's a good part. That's one of the good parts about being me, man, for real.
A part B to that, man. Best part about being a father.
Just nurturing. Nurturing, man. Being a provider, with my baby girl, she ain't a baby anymore. She's 24. I got a son that's 12. Um, just being there, you know what I'm saying? And just passing along with, what was passed to me,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, you be there for your son, but that, that daughter, that father, that father girl, daughter thing, man, you know what's going on out here. So you constantly, my daughter 24 now. So constantly, always on your mind. Cause this generation a little different. Man. So,
Yes. Nah,
I just always be praying, that my daughter okay, man, and stuff, cause she's 24, my son 12, he got time, but my daughter 24, man, we constantly seeing on the news and going to the club, and so you're a parent to the day you die, man.
That's right.
To the day you die.
That's right. Book on your life. What would you call it?
Wow, that's a good question, man. This sounds crazy, but I said I was thinking about that, right? And I said, man, if I ever wrote a book, I'd call it either Misunderstood or Exit 43.
Okay. What's the significance of the 43?
Just the 43 points against, in the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
So I like Exit 43. I mean it.
Got you.
So, but Misunderstood, I probably would do that.
At this point in your life, where you at now, man, and we got a whole lot more living to do. But what would you tell that 17, 18-year-old Elijah Allen, that senior? What advice would you give him?
Oh man, wow. Maybe to take it down, maybe take it down a little bit. When you're 17, 18, man, you just coming to college, man, you're all over the place. I probably would have, really told myself, like, don't get me wrong, keep the same energy you got in basketball and stuff like that. But I probably would have focused, a little bit more on maybe, getting my master's or something like that. I would have told that 17 to 18-year-old, like, just don't be satisfied with getting your, just your regular, bachelor's degree, or think about business, think about different businesses you might want to do or something like that. That's what I think I would have told that 17 to 18-year-old, man.
Yeah. What your parents say about you now, man?
Well, my moms and my pops, man, my mother and my father, and my grandmother actually, passed away. But my aunt, man, my aunt Dell, who's my mother's sister, she's still, she's here, man, and really, kind of looks out for me. Used to come to all my games at FDU and stuff like that. But when I think about my parents, looking down, and my grandmother looking down, I think they would say, well done. Of course we all made mistakes, but I think they would look down and say, well done, son. And that's what means the most to me. Well.
Yeah. Nah, and I echo that too, Elijah, man. I think well done in regards to just, again, you mentioned early on, I mean, I'm misquoting it, but along the lines as far as you just never know who's watching. And I'm one of those guys, man, just watch you from afar, what have you here. Maybe not necessarily connecting personally, what have you. But I think just seeing what you've done on the court, and you talked about it a little bit too, man, like these men you done took from ninth graders to these adults you bumping into wherever, and just tell them how much they appreciate what you've done and what you've instilled with them. I'm sure that's going to take them the rest of their lives, man. Like, held Nork down from day one, right from the door, man. And I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to watch you, and you not even know it, man. And and everything else that you've done and continue to do, man. I really appreciate this time, man. I was excited to do this, man. And thank you, man. I mean that, man. Thank you.
Man, Abe, I appreciate you, brother. You're doing big things, and thank you for even thinking of me, man. You know what I'm saying?
Cut it out, man. Cut it out.
Nah, man, really, man. It happened to me, man. I'm, I'm to the max on the court as a coach, and of course, you know the type of mentality you had to have as a player, especially back during the '90s when we
Yes.
played. But I'm actually a pretty humble guy, man. Humble guy to my, kind of to myself. You know, I hang with my boys and all that. So, but at the end of the day, just having this platform, to man, and just talk about the old stories, and not only that, but just try to throw some little nuggets out there that may help one of these, help the younger generation, because I definitely got a lot
That's right.
of nuggets thrown my way, man. So thank you, man. Thank you for having me, my brother, and keep up the great work.
Wow. Nah, ain't nothing to it, man. I appreciate it, man. You be well, man, and I'm sure we'll bump into each other one way or another.
Absolutely, yeah. Be safe, my brother.
Likewise. Peace, man.
All right, peace.
Like I said, just being patient on this one, I finally got Elijah, man, and I appreciate him just talking a little bit, man, just about his walk, what have you, man. One of Newark's finest, and as he said, just one of those kids from Newark here, man. But nah, thanks for all that you do, Elijah, man. I really, really appreciate this time with you, man. That being said, I'm gonna just step away. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.